Hey everyone, this is Rish and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be going through my Battleground build. Now this is very much a melee Wiz Battleground build, so it's very close combat and it is not for the faint-hearted. If you worry about dying in Battleground, this is definitely not the build for you. However, I find this works really nicely to give a good kill streak and good overall kills for the match as well. Definitely great if you are on the attack team. Although on defending, it's great for protecting your teammates when they are trying to defend the idol or keep the idol moving. So I'm going to go through this in every detail possible, and as you will notice from the video, it is a build that I've used many times before and I've basically just been perfecting it to the best that I can. So yeah, continue watching if you want to know more. As always, if you see your name listed here for this Battleground match, please drop me a comment and say hi. Now, I filmed this video at the start of the class balancing in Battleground as well, and I'm going to go through everything in detail that I'm using. So to begin with, I've just swapped my combat stance, and this is so that the focus stance will be active when we go into battle. So upon activation, critical hit chance for skills is increased by 20% for 3 seconds. After the initial duration ends, the increase is reduced to 10%. So that basically means my skills are going to have that damage increase on them as the minute I activate it once we go into battle, and that's the reason for changing it now. For Warband buff, I'm using the attacker buff, so damage done is increased by 3.5%, critical hit chance increased by 1%, increase your damage dealt by 1% for 2 seconds every time you deal damage, the effect stacks up to 10 times, and is removed when you take damage, and attacker increases critical hit chance by 3% while above 70% of your life. So some really nice buffs there from my Warband. So you can see here I'm about to swap my combat stance, and also with this build I'm using Gladiator. Now I know that Gladiator is slightly outdated for Battleground, but I still do not have a saviour pet, so for me that is what I'm using so that I still have that cheat death chance. However, if you have a saviour pet, I would recommend going in with something like Warden instead, as this will work really nicely with those kill streaks you'll be getting from this build. Now, one thing I've not previously covered in any of my build videos is actually the Reforge bonuses that you can get the blacksmith. So obviously the percentages on all these will change, it's just down to luck, but generally these are the buffs that I go for. So I like the primary attack damage increase, all skill damage increase, critical hit damage increase, attack speed increase, and then this last one, damage to players increase, or I go for duration of beneficial effects. Generally I go for the duration of beneficial effects over this, but I just wanted to give you an idea of the Reforge bonuses that I go for, as these work really nicely in PvP, and all of my Reforge bonuses are actually based around my PvP builds rather than my PvE builds. You can see the nice kind of kill streaks you get from this build, and although I have just died, this build will also give you kills like this, so once you are down, and the reason for that is the damage over time effects we're using. Helping this, we've got 4 pieces of Grace of the Flagellant, so all continual damage, channel damage, and persistent ground damage is increased by 15%. Each time you damage an individual enemy 5 times, you will do 15,032 additional damage to that enemy. And alongside this, we're using Angmet's Conflagration, so the duration of your additional Ignite status is increased by 30%, and there is a 15% chance of attaching an Ignite status to an enemy when dealing damage with primary attacks or skills, dealing 18,039 damage over 3 seconds up to a maximum of 3. So that damage can stack and give you a huge amount of damage on your enemies there. Moving on to look at legendary gems, we have a couple that are going to be giving that damage over time effect. So damage over time is coming from Seeping Bowl and Viper's Bite, but alongside these we're using Blood-Soaked Jade, Starfire Shard, Pain Clasp, Mother's Lament, Gloom Cask and Bottled Hope. And you can see the 3 2-star gems that I've got equipped also have extra gems slotted into them for the resonance buff. Now I've slotted those in not for the extra resonance but for this, so bonus resonance attributes. So 2 of the pieces are giving me primary attack damage increased by 3% and skill damage increased by 2%, but we've also got the damage taken while moving decreased by 3% and damage taken while suffering loss of control also decreased by 4%. So those bonus attributes are giving me some attack and some defensive buffs there as well. Now finally, moving on to legendary items. So for the helm, we're using Ephemeral Visage. So slow time now increases your attack and movement speed while also causing your continual damage and persistent ground damage effects to deal damage faster. Slow time cooldown is reduced by 7.2%. Alongside this, on the chest, we're using Alora's Fervour. So Lightning Nova now hurls balls of burning fire. Lightning Nova damage is increased by 18%. So that helps with Angmet's Conflagration. We're using Galebrind on the shoulder, so Ice Armor causes your primary attacks to decrease enemy movement speed by 40% for 3.2 seconds. Novel Castigation on the pants, so Arcane Torrent also fires tracking missiles that seek out enemies, dealing 10,853 damage. Damage is increased by 90% and an extra 10% there from the Awakened slot. Rift Carver on the main hand, giving Celtic Companion. So Arcane Torrent now creates a Celtic orb that moves with you and fires arcane missiles at random nearby enemies. Damage is increased by 18% and damage is increased 10% from the Awakened slot. Heart of the Storm, so Ice Armor becomes Storm Armor, continually damaging nearby enemies, and the damage is increased 18% and an extra 10% from the Awakened slot. Thunderbird's Bite, Lightning Nova damage increased by 19%. And last but definitely not least, we are also using Blaster Cast on the offhand. Fort Magic Missile deals 2 additional missiles, each dealing 4,076 damage, and damage is increased by 90%. So with these essences, I've tried to go for a little bit of balance between primary and skill damage increase, and they work really nicely with the set items we're using here as well. Now you can see with this build it gets the kills in so easily, and the reason for that is you're getting a lot of damage coming from the Arcane Torrent with those 2 essences stacked, and also the Awakened bonus on both of those. But alongside that, you've got the burn effect coming from Fire Nova, the burn effect from Angmets, and the poison effect from Seeping Bile and Viper's Bite as well. So you've got several damage over time effects, like I said, as well as having high damage from some of the skills and the primary attack as well. And my charm that I have equipped for this build as well, I have 4% increase on Magic Missile and a 2% increase on Arcane Torrent, which is also helping. Now, although this match is going to be a loss, the last few seconds here show how perfectly this build works. Those last 3 kills are all from the damage over time or set item effects from Angmets, and we have a 4th kill there as well. So we're now on a 14 kill streak, and 4 of those kills are purely from set items and damage over time. But you can see the amount of damage the build gives is now really easy to just cut through players. And even though it means getting closer, and as I said, I call it a melee Wiz build, and a lot of people refer to me as a melee player, it just works so beautifully. As I said, unfortunately, this match is going to be a loss. You can see they're taking down the Ancient Heart so quickly, and I'm the only person on my team that is anywhere near to these players. But we'll take a look at the overall result from this build. Obviously, it totally sucks to lose in Battleground. However, you can't say that I didn't try with 34 kills and 7 assists. So that's basically 41 of the total 56 kills that my team had. So definitely worked my butt off for that, and the build made it super easy as well. Here's some other examples of the results with this exact same build in other Battlegrounds recently. So you can see for every battle that I've been in, it's pretty much been a win. And also top for kills and assists as well, and MVP in most of these Battlegrounds as well. That's it from me today. I hope you found this video helpful. As always, thanks for watching and have a great day.